Hello farmers. So this video is intended to help you know what you need to do to start your tomato uh, garden as a business. So I'm going to share different things that are involved that will help you begin your tomato garden from start to finish. You're going to learn quite a lot of things from this video. So let's dive straight into it. So the outline of the things that you're going to share about what's the right mindset for you to have before you start your garden, because I believe before you start your garden you should have the right mindset. You should, that helps you do whatever you're supposed to do. Then how we shall choose the variety. This is now from start. What kind of variety do you need to choose for your garden before you start, because this determines uh, what you will sell out to the market later on. Then I'll also share about the activities for growing tomatoes, which activities are involved in growing tomatoes. Then I'll share a bit of how we can work together this season if you wanted to work with me as well. So let's start with the right mindset, which I said it's important to you for you to have the right mindset before you start working in your garden. Uh, Everything begins with your mind. Everything begins with your mind. If you're not prepared right in the mind, uh, you don't expect the right success, or you will not be sure of what is supposed to be going on in your garden. You will not be making deliberate decisions in your garden if you do not have the right mindset before you start your garden. It's not just about planting only. It's not about knowing the right processes that are involved. It's also involved. It also involves you having the right mindset before you start. You having uh, knowing what to focus on as you start your tomato garden. So the first right mindset we should have, that what we're doing is a business. That you're starting this garden, you're not just starting this garden as charity work, you're not starting this garden as a hobby, that you're doing business. So like any other business, the things that you are supposed to uh, focus on so that you are able to earn profits from the business. So you begin your tomato garden not as just a hobby, but a business, such like any other business you start. So you must treat it as a real business. If you are to gain from it, remember you're going to be spending your time, you're going to spending your money, you're going to be spending your energy and resources. So you need to actually uh, be serious about this venture that you've started. So you need to treat it as a business the way you are supposed to treat it. Just like any other business, you you expect profits from it. And so if you expect from profits from it, you must be at least calculating how much money you're putting in, how much money you expect to get when you cater for the costs and expenses. Uh, how much money will you be able to get? So before you start, just have the right mindset that what I am doing is a business. I am not just doing things for fun. This will help you, of course, make many deliberate decisions when you on the farm. You be careful at what you buy. You be careful at how you use resources. You be careful at uh, how you manage your labor, because you're going to be paying people on your farm. So you need to like be serious and tell them what to do, when to do it, because it's your money going to the business. So the second mindset you should have, it's a skill to learn. Uh, Many farmers, of course, want instant results, uh, but agriculture, I look at it as a skill you also learn. Like though you learn the skill of doing other businesses, you learn the skill of selling, you learn the skill of looking for the market, you learn the skill of growing a different thing. So there are very many things that are involved in agriculture when you're starting out that you need to take in care of before you actually started. And don't be those farmers that are wanting only instant results. Like I say, it's okay for you to have the results when they come out on your first harvest, but eventually, even if the harvest does not come out, Your focus should not be that. Your focus should be, have I improved? What have I done wrong? What have I done right? What should I improve the other season? What should I eliminate so that I make progress? What has okay, if eventually you go to the harvest that you wanted in the first season, uh, you should look at also the processes. What made me get the results that I have? What made me get the produce that I have, the harvests that I have? Because if you're not like keen to know about your processes and everything that happens around within your garden before you actually get the results, you will be uh, you end up giving up because yeah, the first season is, but especially in the beginning, first season is not, yes, it's not really a guarantee for you to make it through. Like I said, you can make it through, but the focus is to improve the skill, to know what to do with time, to become good at what you do. So I usually emphasize that we use the first three growing seasons to become good at growing tomatoes. So your first season is just you just repeating the mode. You're just repeating the guide that I've given you. Yeah, you're just repeating what I've told you to do in your first growing season. So there's nothing unique that you have bring your food to the table. So you when you someone tells you what to do, you do as they tell you to do. The first season you do as they tell you to do. They say grow this, grow this, grow that, grow that, and then you see how it yields the results. Then in the next season, season number two, you try and repeat the same method, uh, evaluating the things that made you do some mistakes and what you need to improve. So that's the second season. Then the third season is I call the stability season. That's when you start now to stabilize because by that season you know what to do, and of course it's not a guarantee of total success, but at least by the third season you know what to do. By the time you're going tomatoes for the first season, if you are keen about what was happening in the whole process, you're keen about your expenses, you're keen about the people you've applied, you're keen about what you've been doing, how you've been planting, how you've been growing, how you've been managing pests and diseases, it's it will always be easier for you to improve your skill. So take agriculture as a skill to learn, not just something you're doing to grow your business. So do more. This is the right mindset also we need to have as we start out. So you only know when you know, because most farmers are doing a lot of research, doing a lot of information, you're gathering too much information, but you don't know something until you do it. You need to go in the garden and practice. You need to go in the garden and get involved. You need to get your hands dirty in the work so that you improve yourself. So it's not about just doing it. Yes, it's important that you do research before you started, but research that you do is not really a guarantee of your success. Agriculture is 20%, I always say is 20% um, knowledge and 80% resilience and character. So it's the resilience that you have in your garden that eventually brings you the results. It's not just about you having the knowledge. So knowledge only contributes 20%. That's why I say it's also important that you know before you start. But the doing contributes a lot of the success. So you need to go and actually do the work and you know what it takes to really produce this food. So do more. When you research, make sure you don't take long to write things in your notes. Make sure you put those things into practice. If you get a new method of doing something, make sure you put it into practice so that you get the results very fast. So the mindset thing, encouragement, I always tell farmers, don't start alone, grow with someone, most especially if you're a beginner farmer, grow with someone. You see, you learn faster when you grow with someone. The mistakes you don't have to make uh, because someone else has made the same mistakes, and they help you learn faster. Uh, yes, as a farmer, you it's true that you will make your own personal mistakes, but the mistakes you don't have to make because someone has made the same mistakes. So when you grow and learn with someone who has been experienced, it's very important. You learn fast actually. Because I said you need three growing seasons. If you're not learning with someone, by the way, the seasons will even be more. But you need three growing seasons because you're learning with someone who has been experienced in the same. They can see your gaps, they can see what you're not doing right, and they can be able to advise accordingly. So never start alone. Always start with someone to make your work faster and your learning journey faster and better. So someone may not be me, but find any person that is experienced in this same field and grow with them. Yeah, it may not be me, like I said, but it may be any other farmer or any other expert that you know, any other agronomist that you know around that can grow with you on the journey, and you grow with them from the start to the finish. That is very, very important. All right. So we go to choosing the variety. What factors do I base on to choose the variety? Like I said, you're going to plant your tomato and you don't plant a tomato that is not acceptable in the market. Or you don't plant a variety that is going to disturb you. Or you don't want to plant a variety that you don't know how to grow. So you need to know what factors should I base on to choose the right variety before I started planting. So number one, you need to grow from the market because many farmers make the same mistake. They grow from excitement. They grow what other people tell them is the right um, uh, tomato to grow. You need to know what the market desires before you grow. You need to know what prices the market is uh, buying the tomatoes before you actually start to sell them out. You need to know where to sell those tomatoes before you actually uh, uh, begin to grow it. You need to know what the market needs. What sizes do they buy in? What prices do they buy these tomatoes? So before you started, grow from the market. Go and understand the market, how the market works. Uh, so there are different places you can find the market from fellow farmers growing the same crop within your surroundings. So that usually when you're in an area, most times there are people who are growing the same crop that you are growing, and so get to know where they are selling their own tomatoes, so that you don't make mistakes like I did with first good tomatoes. We had a bountiful harvest, but I didn't know where to sell the tomatoes after growing the tomatoes. So you need to find the market. Ask the fellow farmers in the same region that are growing the same crop, and that is tomatoes, as you. They'll help you with that information. So you also need to go to markets around, find the food markets around, go and find the prices that they're selling their tomatoes. Uh, find what quantities they are selling, find what sizes of tomatoes they are selling before you actually before you are confident with your variety. Because you may be selling a large size tomatoes, but the market where you're taking tomatoes to they want small size. So just to be informed that with what your market wants, you need to go and actually check there. So also farmer communities now, this area we have no excuse. Farmer communities exist everywhere. These ones are online platforms where other farmers who are growing the same crop are. They can be on WhatsApp, can be Facebook, can be TikTok, can be YouTube. So usually they are farmer communities. So make sure you're engaged in a group where farmers are growing the same crop as you are, so that you're able to learn from them, so they're able to know where they are selling their produce. And sometimes even the market is within those same farmers. Maybe some farmers is exporting and it needs a more support supply. So you can always be able to reach out to such farmers. So join farmer communities. Uh, Share something on TikTok. If you're growing tomatoes, you can share your tomato garden uh, business out there that people are able to see and notice what you're selling. Some culture input sellers are also another place where you can find markets. These people usually have market information that can help you start your own vegetable garden. So go to those people; they will help you out very well. So the other place the other factor that is important in choosing the variety, usually you should know the differences between hybrid seed and OPVs. Hybrid seeds usually have higher yields, have higher tolerance to disease, and also weather factors compared to OPVs. Hybrid seeds are when you see, of course, the packaging material, you always see this F1 generation. This is it's called fast failure generation. These hybrid seeds are bred for specific characteristics, like tolerance to diseases, improved yields, tolerance to weather. So usually hybrids are bred for specific characters, and they can you can yes, you can plant them, you can replant the seed in the next generation, but the more the generation increases, the more it loses its superior characteristics, its characteristics that have been bred for in the first place. So usually these ones are planted once, then you sell off, and then you buy another package. You don't replant the same seed. Of course, some people do it, but the resistance of these seeds over time goes on reducing. It's not the same as OPVs. OPVs, their resistance does not reduce. You can replant them over and over again, but usually they have lower characteristics because some of them are less yielding, some of them uh, uh, are not very so much tolerant to diseases. And so so if you're starting business, I would advise you buy hybrid seeds and not OPVs. OPVs means open pollinated varieties. These are varieties with different characteristics. They're openly pollinated. These ones are closely pollinated. They make sure they reproduce specific characteristics in a plant before they release the seeds out. So if you're starting business, go for hybrid seeds instead of OPV seeds. Usually it's indicated you either see this one F1, like Pele F1, so F1, like the different varieties that are there. Usually you have see F1 generation. Yeah, so the first generation is always with superior characteristics. The F2 generation and the F3 generations, those ones start to lose the important characteristics like high yields, tolerance to diseases. That's why you see their survival in other generations may not be sure. Yeah. So buy hybrid seeds. So you also need to know that there's a difference between determinate and indeterminate tomatoes. You don't just go to buy tomatoes, the pack of tomatoes and just plant. You need to know the difference of tomatoes that you're buying so that you know each because different types of tomatoes have different characteristics in how they are raised and grown. So the indeterminate tomatoes, these are vining plants. These are continuous and heavy production. Food is produced along the stems, good for large garden with vertical support. Harvest tomatoes all summer long. So the indeterminate tomatoes, these ones grow. Uh, they are climbing tomatoes. I would call them in a simple language. They they are staked or they are trellised. They are put on poles because they grow upward. So you should know if you're buying an indeterminate tomato or a determinate tomato. So the determinate ones are usually they're usually called the bushy tomatoes. They lie on the ground, they lie on the floor. So this one, the advantage, of course, they have a longer production period. It's a continuous production. You can continue to produce. It they continue to develop flowers over time. So you don't just harvest in 1 month and one season and you're done. They can extend to 2 or 3 months producing continuous flowers if you are actually fertilizing right. Whereas this one, in one season, go like this, you're done harvesting, and that is it. Yeah. And these ones, I said, you put them on poles, they're trellised, and these ones, you just let them lie on the ground. You just mulch the ground to make sure the tomatoes are not lying on the soil directly to reduce the infections that may affect the tomatoes. So you choose which variety is easier for you. Usually, of course, this one is very expensive because you have to put in other things. You have to buy poles, you have to buy uh, other different things. But if you have the money, you can go for this because this one now fighting diseases is also easier compared to this. Fighting also pests is easier. Management is easier compared to this. These ones are usually affected by diseases because remember they are lying on the ground. So Of course, you have factors that you can input to reduce the disease. Also, these ones, like I said, it could produce more than one season compared to these ones. So it depends on how this one depends on the money that you have. You go for what you know, but just know what tomatoes that you're buying before you actually buy them. So choosing the variety. I'm not saying you choose these ones over these ones. It depends on how the money that you have and what you intend to produce. Do you intend to have a longer production? You choose this one. But if you intend to just produce one season and just get done, and that's just produce this one. Each one has its benefits and profits. So when you buy, know you ask the input seller, is this a determinate or an indeterminate tomato? So the activities that are involved in tomato growing, the first one is always nursery management. Uh, you need to learn the skill of how to master your nursery before you start actually planting. And nurseries have different kinds. You have the ground nursery, you have the potting bags, you have the trays. You need to choose which method works for you, or which method is easier for you, or which method fits in your budget cost. Uh, yeah, all of them have advantages, but you opt for, first of all, like I said, if you have the money, you go for the method that is easier for you uh, to do and work with. So the ground nursery, this is the conventional one. Most farmers do this one, the conventional ground nursery. It's the conventional method. Most farmers that are beginning, most especially in the villages, have this one where they do a raised bed. It's 1 meter this side and then a few meters here, like 4 or 5 on this other side of the bed. So you make sure you raise your bed well. Make sure the soil here is thin and well grained. There are no stones within. There are no gravel. Uh, make sure the soil is very okay. You put 2 kgs. Uh, not 2 kgs. You put manure. Make sure you mix the soil with manure. And also you can. Other practice I also do. You mix this also ground nursery with uh, inorganic manure as well. You mix NPK within the soil. It's also manure. If you have it, that's the practice that I usually do. If I'm doing a ground nursery, of course, like it has its disadvantages that there is high risk of your seedlings dying of diseases and pest attack. So, but to reduce on pests coming to your garden, you make sure you spray with a with a pesticide around your bed here. Spread with the pesticide around your bed to make sure you reduce the infections that may come through. And the other thing you to do when you're planting, make sure you put thin rows here, like 3 centimeters apart. So you put your rows here before you plant, then you sow your seed within the rows. Then after you cover thinly with soil, make sure you don't put the seeds very deep, at least 2 centimeters the diameter of the seed. Then you cover thinly with soil. And so germinates of tomatoes, of course, begins within 2 to 4 days. You expect to see the seedlings come out of the garden if you do not put too much soil on the side. So the other method is the trays and the potting bags. So the potting bags look like this. You fill with the soil. I've heard of other farmers that use newspapers, other farmers that use leaves. There's also a method where people use leaves as potting bags. They put leaves together. They sew the leaves together like this. Then then they put the soil, the potting soil here inside, and then yeah. So whatever method works for you. If you know how to use leaves, please do that. You can, if you feel like cut by potting bags, you can use that. You can also use newspapers. I've seen people using newspapers. It also works out very, very well. So the potting bags is also another method you can use when you're transferring the seedling. You just hold you try and squeeze. the root ball slightly, not so much, slightly, so that you remove out the seedling with ease. So you squeeze this so that you don't just cut the very. Sometimes you may want to reuse the cavera, the potting bag. So you squeeze a bit and then you remove the seedling and then put in the seedling hole. The other method is the trays. These are the planting trays. So you should be careful before you buy trays. The sizes of the sizes of trays for cabbages and tomatoes are different. Usually the sizes for cabbages, the holes are smaller compared to the sizes of the tomato trays. So the other method is this. Of course, this one can be expensive. So the more you come this side, the more money you input, and the more safety, the better safety. This is more safe compared to the other ones. So remember these ones, they need now media. They need media for you to be able to uh, plant the soil media. So you can either buy what we call peat moss. Peat moss is manufactured in the industry. It's already available. But if you don't want to spend money on peat moss soil, uh, you can make your own soil media from home. So you can either buy the media substrate from manufacturers. It's always there. Try to plant a disease-free seed. Just put now the media in your either potting bags or you put the media in your trays. Uh, Usually disease, not usually, it's most times disease-free. And yeah, so if you can't buy peat moss, you can make your own. So you can make your own substrate media. Uh, Mix 2 parts of soil plus 1 part of wild compost plus 1 part of sand. So if it is if it is 2 parts of wheelbarrows, if you have 2 wheelbarrows, mix one wheelbarrow of well decomposed manure plus one wheelbarrow of sand or rice husks, like here they say carbonized rice husks. So you can either use that, then you mix them very well, then you put the mixture in a big potting bag like this one. Usually they are very big but enclosed, so you can put in that one. Then you leave it in the sunshine, a black polythene, and leave it in direct sunshine for 2 hours. Then after you remove, you will have to sterilize them. The sterilizing is you want to kill the germs, you want to kill the probable diseases that are soil-borne diseases that may come out from the soil media. Because like it's not like this peat moss, it's already treated. So you need to sterilize it. Or you can heat it in a saucepan for 10 minutes uh, with hot water, hot flame for 10 minutes. Sterilize the soil. So the sowing, you make sure after you have done putting the soil in your trays, you sow the seed at a depth of two times its diameter, so that you're not sowing very deep. That the seed can easily germinate. So why seeds sometimes take long to germinate is because of how we sow them in the garden. So it's important that you also work on that. Uh, Seeding care. Seedlings emerge 2 to 3 days after sowing. So uh, seedlings take 21 to 28 days in the nursery before transplant. So you can, if you're using trays, you have to construct a simple structure like this. If you don't have a greenhouse, you construct a structure like this. So that's it. Make sure it is raised. You're not putting seedlings on the floor, but the seedlings are raised above the ground. So it takes 21 to 28 days in the nursery before transplant. So water seedlings in the morning and avoid watering in the evenings to reduce fungal diseases such as damping off. So when you water in the morning, of course, there's at least enough sunshine to drain off the excess water, vis-a-vis when you water in the evening, uh, where they'll have fungal diseases affecting your seedlings. So you have instances of damping off, which is a fungal uh, disease. So to reduce such events, because when you water in the evenings, there's no like sunshine for the seedling to drain off the water from the seedlings. And so you will be increasing the environment that improves infection of fungal diseases. So keep the structure sheltered with a shade to avoid direct sunshine, like this shade. It allows in little sunshine to the seedling, so you need to keep the shade. So expose the seedlings to direct sunlight slowly in last 5 to 7 days to harden the seedlings. Because you're introducing seedlings to a new environment, you need to let them have direct sunlight slowly 5 to 7 days before you transplant them. So this is to harden them. This is to prepare them for the new environment they are going in. They are going to the garden where they don't have a shade, where they don't have this net. So they need to harden before they enter the actual garden. So land preparation. Spacing. For spacing, the Italian tomatoes, usually spacing is 50 centimeters between plants. And for indeterminate varieties, the spacing is 50 to 50 centimeters between the plants, and then between the rows it's 50 centimeters. Then the depth of the ridge 20 centimeters in the dry season, then 30 centimeters in the wet season. Then the width is 1 meter long. Is what I mean. You have to make these beds if you're going to grow the time indeterminate. I told you the indeterminate are the ones that are staked vis-a-vis the determinate tomatoes. For them, their spacing is 50 to 50 centimeters. You may not need to make these beds. Uh, you can just plant them lying on the ground, or if you need for safety, depending of course on your land orientation and other factors, you can also raise beds to help conserve moisture, because these beds have importances. They help you conserve moisture, they help you with other factors, they help reduce on erosion that may come in. They also allow the soils to they allow the plants to root well in the soil. So for determinate, it's 50 centimeters to 50 between plants. You have your between your plants on each ridge. Uh, on each ridge, it's 50 centimeters between plants. Then between rows, uh, also between rows, plants. This is a row like that. So 50 centimeters. The, oh, between rows, yeah, here, this rows, 50 centimeters. The depth of ridge 20 centimeters, and then width is 1 meter long. So it's 1 meter from here to here of the ridge. Then it's 20 centimeters depth when it is in the rainy season. Dry season, you can add on 30 centimeters deeper. Yeah, so that's it. Then 1 meter long. From here to here is 1 meter. All right. So fertilization. Apply 3 kgs of decomposed manure and 80 kgs of NPK 15 to 15 every after 2 minutes on the bed ridges. So this is very important when you start. This is what we call the basal application, the application that starts your garden. So for non-ridge gardens, it's 1 bottle top of DAP or NPK. If you're not doing ridges, you just plant 1 bottle top of DAP or NPK with a with a with maybe a plate of all decomposed manure in one hole. So you apply where the hole is, don't just spread the fertilizer around the garden, just apply where the hole is that the plant is able to access. This is for determinate tomatoes. So for indeterminate tomatoes, you just put you apply decomposed manure on your beds and 80 kgs of NPK. Of course in the beds as well, you spread it around the beds. So maybe after 2 meters on the bed ridges. So transplanting, make sure you're transplanting, you transplant in the evening to avoid seedlings from being scorched by the sunlight. I made that mistake when I was starting out. Me and my friends, my farmer friends, we were growing something. I was working with my team members at some farm. So because we wanted to finish work very early in the morning, we decided to transplant in the morning. Towards the afternoon. By the time our plants reached in the evening, we had made very big losses. All the plants were down on the ground and it was a very bad state. So we made losses. We lost our seedlings. So to avoid this, make sure you transplant in the evenings. So carefully handle seedlings from the root ball to avoid damage. Don't handle the seedlings from top here. Make sure you handle the seedlings from the root ball that you when you transplant them, you put them very comfortably in the hole that you planted them. Hey, I said this is 50 centimeters here from this plant to plant. It's 50 centimeters. This ridge is 20 centimeters deep or 30 centimeters if in case it's a dry season. And you plant them diagonally like this. Yeah, of course, to reduce the effects of pests and diseases. All diseases be transferred from one plant to other when you plant them directly close to each other. So you plant them diagonally like this along your bed. So carefully handle the seedlings. I've said that. So erect the trellises 10 days after. So if you're doing these real tomatoes, so put your trellises 10 days after these tomatoes have now started to gain stability. Don't put the trellises immediately. Uh, Allow these plants at least 1 week to first establish. And you just transplanted them, then you start to put the trellises after transplant, 10 days after transplant. So that the plants are growing the trellises. So the next part is the care for your tomatoes. How do you care for your tomatoes to give you the results that you're supposed to get? Yes, of course, even all the other information that I shared is very, very important. Now, how you manage and care for your tomatoes uh, determines a lot on how much harvest you'll be getting from your garden. So you need to know how to really, really care for your tomatoes so that you are able to get the harvest and uh, that you desire. Like from the start of sharing, all these things we are learning them as skills. So the more you become better at each level, the better you become a good tomato farmer. If you know how to manage the nursery very well, and some people, by the way, they do nursery as a business, how to raise nursery as a business. For you, maybe you say, I'm going to just do raising as a big business. I'm just going to be growing only seedlings. I don't want to do these other things because they will waste a lot of my time. So you can either focus on those ones or decide to continue on uh, with the whole process. So either way. So you need to also master how to care for your tomatoes over time. So uh, the caring of the tomatoes, of course, is what we call management, and how you manage your crops contributes to 90% of the success of your garden. So management, I break down management into two. Management is in labor management and good agricultural practices. So management, your team has to have the sufficient skills to do the work. If you are not able to have the skills in doing this work, your team that you have on the farm should be able to know what to do because most people are employing people on their farms that don't know what to do. They are growing tomatoes, but the people they are using in their gardens don't know how to grow tomatoes, and you remember you're spending money on yourself and also spending money on the people that you're employing in your garden. And once they do not know what to do, they will make very many mistakes. People who work directly on our gardens play a very, very vital role in the success of our gardens. So if they are not doing the things rightly the way they're supposed to be doing them, they're going to make very, very mistakes that are going to cost your garden. So it's important that these people that you employ on your garden have the right skills to do the work before they actually start, before you start your garden. And also encourage people who own gardens to also be involved in what is happening in your garden. You may not know the whole science of how to grow something, but at least have some basic knowledge that helps you also make decisions. Because if you are not aware of what happens, these people who work on your farm will be making for you decisions that you are not aware of. Or sometimes you refuse to spend money because for them, they'll be knowing what to do. And if you don't know what to do, you say, I'm spending a lot of money. You don't want to give money to these people to do what they're supposed to do. Or sometimes when you don't know what to do, they keep asking money from you, even for things that are not relevant, and you keep on spending money on things that are not even relevant to the business, and you end up spending more than you have to spend. So if people on your garden do not have the skills, make sure they're equipped. If you need to employ an external person who needs to teach them, please do so. But make sure people that you are using in your garden know what to do, and you should also be equipped at least with a guide of what is supposed to happen in your garden. Don't be the farmers that are ignorant, that don't know what to do in their gardens. Be a part of your business. It's like starting and investing in something you don't have. Uh, Investing money in something you don't know about. You start a shop, but you just put money. People who know how to manage it, let them manage. Let me just be putting my money in my shop. That's why I said you need to treat this thing as a business. You need to treat this venture as a business. It will help you reduce all the mistakes that you would make. Uh, so that thing is good agricultural practices. You need it's a part of management. Good agricultural practices. They are practices that are designed for a specific crop variety that will help you give you the results. So determined varieties usually have their own practices: weeding, mulching, irrigation. Determined varieties have weeding, of course, pruning. So if you don't prune, you don't get the harvest that you're supposed to be getting. If you're not staking, those are losses. Irrigation, those are losses. So you should know what are the good practices that are available there that help you produce the results. You search about, and these days they are bringing climate smart agricultural practices that help you uh, adapt to the environment very, very fast so that you're not making losses. So you need also research and look up such activities, such practices that will help you produce the way you're supposed to produce. So determined varieties, their practices may not be the same as indeterminate. The climbing varieties, of course, if you're going to put staking, the other things you need to do, you need to prune them so that they are growing upwards. Sometimes farmers don't prune, they're just planting the tomatoes, are not giving them results and yield. All the tomatoes are not growing to sufficient height, and they're getting many losses. So you need to know the different practices that are involved in either determinate or indeterminate, so that you're not making losses. For determinate, let's say the good agricultural practice, mulching is very, very important because whenever they are lying on the ground, you need to mulch them uh, important very well. So they don't need pruning. The only pruning is maybe you're pruning off diseased leaves. That's the only pruning maybe you could do for a determinant. But the pruning for growth is not really necessary because these are bushy tomatoes. You need the bush. The better the bush, uh, the bush by I mean many branches that are spreading on the ground. The higher the bushing, the better the yield. So crop protection, this is another way to care for your crops. So man, care for crops has three, but I think I should have said this before. It has three. It has management, it has crop protection, and then nutrition. If you master those three things in the care of your tomatoes, you are uh, you're heading towards success for your garden. You know how to manage, like I said, you know how to manage your labor in the way that I shared. Also, you know the good agricultural practices. As if you're good to go. You know how to protect your tomatoes from diseases. You know what to do. You also headed the right way. You also, I think I did not put nutrition on my slides. Okay. But just if you know also how to do the right nutrition along the journey, it's also I think I'll make a separate video for nutrition only to help us learn how to do the nutrition that we get the right results. But nevertheless, prevention over control is very important. If you're doing tomatoes, you need to opt for prevention measures over control measures. Usually farmers are controlling disease when they see them in the garden. For a disease to happen in your garden, there must be a susceptible host. There must be a host agent. There must be a host for the disease agent to come and cause disease. So as soon as you plant your tomatoes like this, you've already put the agent. The disease is somewhere. That's what I always say. If there's a tomato in your garden, the disease is already somewhere. The diseases are in either soil or the wind. They're always waiting for the right host. So when you provide the right host, uh, the diseases will always be very, very present to start affecting your garden. So you should opt for prevention measures over control measures. Don't wait for the disease, your plants to start getting disease, start applying the pesticides or you're applying other mitigation strategies. Start as early as possible. So use sticky traps as a way of prevention. The sticky traps are usually are put in the gardens. This can help you reduce the effects of diseases. I do not have an image here for sticky traps, but you can Google it and check out what sticky traps are. They reduce the populations of diseases. We cannot completely remove pests from our garden, but we can reduce on the effects in our garden. But also, this one helps now control the populations of the pests in your garden. So if you can buy sticky traps and put them in your garden, the better. If you cannot, then it's also better you find other strategies. So also spray early enough when plants develop the first three leaves. Spray early enough. At least first three leaves, like in the first 2 weeks. This is after 2 weeks. Like I said, when the host is there, that's not the disease is somewhere lying around. So you need to spray early enough. I'll share another video about how to get the right uh, spraying measures. How do you spray? When do you spray? What are the different factors that help you determine which uh, pesticide to choose? So also spray according to the prevailing weather conditions. You need to spray if it is too much sun, the sunshine is too much, spray accordingly. If it is rainy, you need to get the pesticides that are uh, for that kind of weather. Usually fungal diseases are prevalent in rainy seasons. And so, yeah, you need to make sure you are spraying. The only disease that you spray on site is bacterial diseases, like bacterial wilt. That one you spray on site when you start to see infection in the garden. But usually for fungal diseases, make sure you spray as early as possible. Yeah, I will create a separate video on how to do spraying. I also create a separate video on how to do nutrition, not to make this video very long. So the aspect I did not talk about is nutrition. So you need, okay, before you go to nutrition, you need to research on tomato pests and diseases. You can easily spray what you know. So you don't just spray in the garden, you don't just buy the pesticides because it's only to buy this pesticide. You do a different research on the different diseases that exist uh, in tomatoes. What are the diseases that affect tomatoes? What are the diseases that are affecting your garden? So that you spray what you know, not just spraying anyhowly, but you spray what you know. So that is very, very important for you to put into consideration. Yeah, like I said, I will make a separate video on how to spray next time. But for now, let's stop on that. Before I share how to work together, I think I did not share is about nutrition. Nutrition, you need to also master nutrition because there are three important factors in how you care for your crops. I said it's crop protection, management, and nutrition. I need to include nutrition in my slides. You forgive me for that. But nutrition, that is a fertilization factor. How you fertilize your crops is very, very important in helping you, them giving you the desired. So you fertilize in three stages. A crop has three growing stages. It has the vegetative stage, it has the flowering stage, and then a fruiting stage. Now, depending on where a crop stops, sometimes uh, now for tomato specifically, we go to the fruiting stage. But if other farmers are growing like cabbages, you have to stop at the vegetative stage. So the vegetative stage is the stage where the plant is just developing its roots, it's developing its stems, and also developing its leaves, the foliage. So you need a fertilizer that is specific for that. Usually that is rich in phosphorus and nitrogen. These nutrient elements help in the development of the structures of the plant. So you need to make sure you apply fertilizers that are suitable for that stage. Now, at the growing stage, usually it starts with the basal. The basal, like I shared at the start of these slides, this is the basal fertilization. Uh, Happens at planting. Before you plant, you put the basal fertilizer NPK. Different ratios of NPK. Like I said, I'll share different videos on how to do fertilizers. So NPK can be appropriate at the start for basal or DAP. DAP is diammonium phosphate. You can also use that one at your start for basal. So I said there are three stages in the vegetative. You need basal, and then you need a top dress in your vegetative as well. Top dress, that one is you fertilize after 2 weeks with another nitrogen fertilizer after 2 weeks to make sure at least the plant gets firm and established. uh, the more you go, the more you release. Of course, like there's crop specific fertilizers in the market. These days, things are becoming a bit easier. They are developing crop specific fertilizers in the market. And so you need also to be aware of them. So they'll give you fertilizers that are used at the vegetative stage, there are fertilizers that are used at the flowering stage, and these are those that are fruiting stage. But if you don't know, you can follow your soil test guide if you did a soil test. Do not do a soil test. You can just use those specific fertilizers. So there are fertilizers you also need to apply at the flowering stage. So when the crop starts to flower, make sure you're also applying the right fertilizer at that stage. So if you don't apply the right fertilizer at that stage, you'll have very many flower abortions. And if the flowers are aborting as many as possible, it means you'll have less yield. Then the last is the fruiting stage. You also need a fertilizer that is suitable for the fruiting stage. Like I said, I'll share deeply in the video for fertilization. Don't want to make this video longer. All right, that is it with fertilization. Just know the three stages. The vegetative stage has the basal stage where you apply fertilizer at planting. Then after 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, you apply a top dress. A top dress is a fertilizer applied after the crop has started to emerge in the garden after planting. Uh, so you top dress with either grain NPK or you apply a liquid fertilizer, usually a liquid fertilizer on top. That will help you very, very well. And so yeah, so the last stage is the flowering stage, the fruiting stage. Also apply the right fertilizer at that stage. If you don't apply the right fertilizer at that stage, remember you don't get the fruit quality of the tomato that you want. You will have many harvest losses. The fruit will not be firm, will not look good. It will taste sour. Uh, the nutrient quality inside will also not be okay. So you need to put those factors into consideration. So those are the three stages that are involved in fertilization. Uh, that is it. So uh, let me finish this video. I'll really, I promise I'll share the video on specifically pesticide management and also specifically on nutrient management. For now, I'm going to stop there. The people who would like to work with me, want to grow with me, it's really okay. Usually, I share free materials. I share a free newsletter. I share my tips that I've used in the last 3 years working as a consultant for my clients. I share a free newsletter, so I just share tips that help you to be resilient. You can subscribe to that newsletter. Uh, the link is in the description. This video is on YouTube. The link is in the description. Yeah. Also, I have a free tomato guide that I give, and also I have a free planner guide that I give. All these are totally available for you to download for free. So, yeah, that's it. A free planner guide. This is on my store. And this was this free tomato guide. You can also access it uh, on my store. Otherwise, yeah, those are free materials. If someone maybe is not ready to work with me personally, this information that I give here is also sufficient for you to start your garden. So I'm doing a paid consultation. I do online consultation. Anytime you need it for guidance, you can hook me up. That is the price and cost. I just help you with whatever you need. You also need me to we go through the different processes. Yes, the consultation. You need a monthly consultation. You need at least a day follow-up every week on strategies. I can follow up you at least every week. This is the price. You can never do it monthly, but this is still online. You need to work out with me. Uh, even so, this is also still online. You pay this monthly. You can also still work online. Or you need a physical uh, guidance. You can also see the way how to work it out. Or you need a visit on your farm monthly. You need me to come to your farm monthly and follow with you every other time. This is the amount you can pay. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please ask me and I'll be able to answer you. Thank you. Have a nice time and bye.